Before reality TV turned him into a stumbling, mumbled punchline, Ozzy Osbourne was already a legend. A madman on stage, a tortured soul off it, and a survivor through and through. With bat-biting headlines, drug-fueled decades, and a voice that helped define heavy metal,
Mama, I'm coming home.
Ozzy wasn't just a rock star, he was a movement. But how did this wide-eyed Birmingham boy with a criminal record and a stutter become the Prince of Darkness? And what did it cost him? From the rise of Black Sabbath to his chaotic solo career and his transformation into a reluctant reality TV dad, Ozzy's life has been anything but predictable. This isn't just a story of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's about resilience, regret, reinvention, and the enduring pull of a man who somehow became both the godfather of metal and America's lovable weirdo. This is the twisted legacy of Ozzy Osbourne. John Michael Osbourne was born on December 3, 1948, in Aston, Warwickshire, England. Growing up in a working-class family with 5 siblings, Ozzy's life was shaped by hardship, poverty, and a chaotic school experience. He struggled with dyslexia and was frequently bullied, finding peace in listening to the Beatles. Inspired by their music, he realized he wanted to be a performer, though he had no formal training and little confidence. After a stint in prison for petty theft, Ozzy stumbled into music as a desperate form of escape, teaming up with local musicians to form what would become the legendary Black Sabbath. In 1969, with Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, Black Sabbath was born. Their sound, dark, heavy, and filled with ominous lyrics, was unlike anything else. Ozzy's sinister vocals were the perfect match for songs about doom, paranoia, and the supernatural. Their self-titled debut album was released in 1970, followed by Paranoid, which became a cultural milestone. The song Iron Man became an anthem, and by the mid-70s, Black Sabbath was one of the biggest bands in the world. But behind the scenes, Ozzy was unraveling. Drugs, alcohol, and wild behavior made him unreliable, and in 1979, he was fired from the band he helped build. Ozzy's firing from Black Sabbath could have been the end. Instead, it was just the beginning of an even wilder chapter. Depressed and spiraling, he was holed up in a hotel room for days, doing drugs and drinking himself into oblivion, until Sharon Arden, daughter of his former manager Don Arden, pulled him out of his stupor and essentially rebuilt him. She became his manager, his motivator, and eventually his wife. With Sharon's guidance, Ozzy launched a solo career that shocked everyone. His 1980 debut solo album Blizzard of Oz included Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley, instantly becoming a heavy metal classic. Ozzy's solo years were full of both triumph and controversy. His stage shows were chaotic, theatrical, and at times disturbing. The infamous moment where he bit the head off a live bat during a show in Des Moines, Iowa, in 1982, became the stuff of a rock legend. It wasn't planned. He thought it was a toy. It wasn't. The fallout included a rabies shot and media hysteria, but Ozzy didn't flinch. In fact, it added to his mythos. But behind the makeup and madness was a man in pain. Ozzy's substance abuse spiraled throughout the 80s. He was arrested multiple times, including once for urinating on the Alamo cenotaph while dressed in his wife's clothes. That stunt got him banned from San Antonio for a decade. He also infamously attempted to kill Sharon during a drug-induced psychotic break in 1989. She dropped the charges, but insisted he go to rehab. Ozzy complied, and the incident marked one of the lowest and most sobering points of his life. Despite all of this, or maybe because of it, Ozzy kept recording. Albums like Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, and No More Tears kept him at the top of the metal scene. He changed guitarists often, but the talent was always top tier. Most notably, Randy Rhoads, whose neoclassical metal guitar work helped define Ozzy's early solo sound. Rhoads' death in a plane crash in 1982 devastated Ozzy. He nearly quit music altogether, but ultimately decided to honor Rhoads by continuing. Through the late 80s and into the 90s, Ozzy evolved from metal menace to metal monarch. He was still unpredictable, still chaotic, but now there was a layer of vulnerability fans connected with. In 1992, he announced a farewell tour, humorously titled "No More Tours," but couldn't stay away. By 1995, he was back with the Osmosis album and the launch of Ozzfest in 1996, a heavy metal festival that not only reinvigorated his career, but also helped bands like Slipknot, Korn, and System of a Down reach wider audiences. Ozzy had somehow gone from outcast to elder statesman. And then came reality TV. In 2002, the Osbournes premiered on MTV, introducing a whole new generation to the man behind the myth. Gone was the Prince of Darkness. Here was a bumbling, bewildered dad trying to work the TV remote and avoid stepping on the family dog. The show was an instant hit. It was bizarre, hilarious, and deeply humanizing. Sharon, Kelly, and Jack became stars in their own right, and Ozzy, despite being mostly incoherent, was the heart of it all. He was now a household name in a totally different way. But fame brought problems. The scrutiny was relentless, and Ozzy's health issues began to mount. In 2003, he was seriously injured in an ATV accident, breaking his collarbone, 8 ribs, and a vertebra in his neck. Recovery was grueling. Later, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which he revealed publicly in 2020. He'd undergone multiple surgeries for spinal issues, and though he had canceled several tours, he vowed to keep going as long as he could. Despite all of this, Ozzy remained creatively active. In recent years, he's released albums like Ordinary Man, 2020, and Patient Number 9, 2022, collaborating with artists like Post Malone, Travis Scott, and Eric Clapton. The music remains haunting, theatrical, and deeply personal, an aging rocker still screaming into the void, refusing to go quietly. Ozzy's longevity isn't just about music, it's about cultural resilience. He's been banned, arrested, hospitalized, parodied, and nearly killed himself more times than anyone can count. But he kept coming back. That refusal to stay down has made him more than just a rock icon. It's made him a symbol of endurance, defiance, and the beautifully messy human condition. He's the guy who turned his darkest moments into platinum records and his failures into punchlines that he laughed at right along with the rest of us. There's also something uniquely endearing about Ozzy's contradictions. He's a man who once urinated on a historic landmark, but now tears up when talking about his children. He once fronted a band that practically invented heavy metal, yet now fawns over his dogs and chickens on social media. His love for Sharon is real and enduring, despite all the chaos they've endured, including affairs, separations, and public feuds. She's been his rock, his manager, and often the only thing standing between him and total destruction. Ozzy's influence spans generations. Without him, there's no metal as we know it. Bands like Metallica, Slayer, and Pantera all trace their roots back to Black Sabbath. But it goes beyond music. He's a pop culture icon, appearing in Super Bowl ads, cartoons, and video games. He's been spoofed on South Park, featured on Family Guy, and referenced in more sitcoms than you can count. That raspy voice and dazed expression are instantly recognizable, even to people who've never heard Paranoid or War Pigs. Yet, for all the spectacle, the most shocking thing about Ozzy might be his heart. In interviews, he talks openly about his regrets, about the pain he caused his children, the bandmates he lost, the damage he did to his body. He doesn't sugarcoat it, and that honesty is part of what keeps people coming back. Ozzy passed away at his home, surrounded by family on July 22, 2025, at the age of 76. This was just 17 days after the Back to the Beginning farewell concert. Fans around the world still chant his name, not just because of his music, but because of his story. This is a man who was born into poverty in England, struggled with dyslexia and learning disabilities, worked in factories, went to jail for burglary, and still rose to become one of the most iconic figures in rock and roll. He's proof that you don't need to be polished to be powerful. You just need to be real. Ozzy's legacy isn't just in record sales or awards. It's in the millions of fans who found solace in his music, who saw their own chaos reflected in his, and who felt like if he could survive everything, maybe they could too. He's not just the Prince of Darkness, he's the patron saint of misfits, the battered but unbroken soul who, against all odds, kept getting back up. And maybe that's the real story here. Not just that Ozzy changed music, but that he changed what it means to be a rock star. He gave us the permission to be weird, to be vulnerable, to screw up, and still be worthy of love and redemption. Whether you know him from Black Sabbath, MTV, or some random bat story, there's no denying his impact. Ozzy Osbourne didn't just survive rock and roll. He was rock and roll.